Okay, Paul, I get it. Time is limited. We only have this brief opportunity to reach out to others. There really isn't time for apathy or half-heartedness or indifference or complacency, or for that matter, just a lack of love. I'll pay it later. People are dying and they're going to hell. And they need to hear. And they need to see. And preaching without love, man, it's a hard sell, isn't it? People need to see the love of God. And notice again, it's the call to obedience made more severe by knowing the days in which we live. And again, if we truly believe the Lord's coming was imminent, how would we go about doing things different? You know, I remember years ago, Pastor Chuck saying in one of our studies, if you knew the Lord was coming Friday at 8 o'clock, would you just go about your everyday practice as you have been for all of these weeks, or would you make changes? And if you're going to make changes, why don't you make them anyway? Why would you just say, well, if the Lord was coming at 8, dude, I'd be on the phone. I'm not going to work. I'm calling everybody. I'm doing stuff. I'm paying up. I'm forgiving people. I'm going to fix it. The Lord, 8? A lot to do. I read a story years ago, and we'll conclude with this story. I read a story years ago, a true story. A gentleman named Lewis Laws. And Lewis Laws became the warden of Sing Sing prison in 1920. Place was pretty brutal. It's not necessarily so easy today, but it was a brutal place. Wretched conditions. He came in and he began to provide humanitarian reforms to a prison that really people could have cared less about. He gave his wife, Catherine, much of the credit years later because she would come to the prison with her 3 children almost every day after school to visit with the gangsters and the murderers and the thieves. And as the kids grew older, they would come by and play basketball with the guys. They'd play chess. They really adopted this prison, this family did, and this warden in particular. In 1937, 17 years later, Lewis's wife, Catherine, was killed in an automobile accident. And the funeral was held about 3/4 of a mile away from Sing Sing prison. On the day of the funeral, every man in that prison lined up to want to be allowed to leave to go to the funeral. And there were 700 men standing at a gate. And the warden came out and he wondered for a minute what to do. And he finally said to them, I trust that you will honor her and her family by coming back. And he opened the door and let all 700 men walk out. 700 men came back because they loved her. Same with us. You love the Lord, you're going to live it right. You're going to owe it to people, right? There's just no way out. You may not like it all the time. Well, I don't want to go back to the prison. You can take it on the chin, man. We're running out of time. And the world is as lost as it's ever going to be.